How does breastfeeding reduce the risk of sudden infant death syndrome? So this person has asked, does bottle feeding increase the risk? It doesn't increase the risk, it just doesn't reduce the risk like breastfeeding does. So breastfeeding has shown to reduce the risk of sudden infant death syndrome by at least 50%. So breastfeeding or expressing increases the mum's ability to rouse and be more aware when they're asleep. When a mum is exposed to a new germ or a new virus, they will then make a germ-fighting cell to fight these germs and these infections, and they will pass that through in the milk. So breastfeeding improves the immune system. It promotes brain growth in a completely different way to any other way of feeding your baby. And while 6 months of breastfeeding is recommended when it comes to SIDS, actually the first 2 months are the most vital. So exclusively breastfeeding for the first 2 months will give your baby the best chance possible at increasing those percentages of reducing the risk. So the way that human milk enhances brain growth is that it includes, I'm just going to read this bit, includes cholesterol, linolenic acid and taurine and vital fats such as DHA, which is vital in insulating around nerves, which help the impulses travel faster. So with regards to the nerves and allowing impulses to travel faster, post-mortem examinations found in babies who were not breastfed that they were deficient in a particular something called myelination, which is what helps coat those cells and nerves in allowing the impulses to travel faster around the respiratory control center, which is to do with, their breathing. Breast milk fights against infections such as RSV, which has been implicated in causing inflammation of the lungs, which can contribute to SIDS. So carrying on from that, breast milk reduces respiratory infections, and breast milk can clear mucus and bunged up airways. If milk does aspirate into the lungs, which can rarely happen, but if it does, there is no chance that breast milk will cause any damage as it's not a foreign substance. It will just be absorbed, whereas if it was water or formula, it can unfortunately be dangerous. Researchers concluded that aspiration of water or formula can cause a stop breathing episode in infants. Breastfeeding helps infants' breathing by 2 ways: helping the brain system that controls breathing to mature and by helping to keep tiny air passages open. It is also interesting to note that breastfeeding infants have higher blood levels of the hormone progesterone, and progesterone stimulates breathing. So there is so much information and evidence out there as to why breastfeeding reduces the risk of SIDS. Like I said, formula feeding does not increase the risk of SIDS. It just doesn't decrease the risk of SIDS like breastfeeding does. This is not to shame anyone using formula. This is just educating and informing you on the positives of breastfeeding. You must make your own decision. And again, if people are offended by this, I'm so sorry if that decision to breastfeed was taken away from you, or even if you just chose it not to. That was your choice. That you're completely allowed. Everyone's allowed to make their own choices. Everyone wants the best for their own babies, and this is just me sharing the positives of breastfeeding. I'm not meaning to shame any other way of choosing to feed your baby.